Welcome back, everybody, to another episode.
Hey,
We,
welcome back.
yeah, so as you could probably tell from the video that you clicked on, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. So, in our last three episodes, we've either covered something related to movies or like any kind of typical horror Halloweeny stuff. Today we're going to be covering a video game, and I am a nerd, but I'm not a nerd in the vicinity of games. So the second difference, I guess, of our thing today is that James is going to be doing the talking for this one. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, this one is specifically. I chose this topic today, as you can tell. This is probably one of my favorite games recently that I've ever played. I've recently broke 1,000 fucking hours in this game. I must
There's no
insult
way
it as
you've
a
had like
game.
1,000. There's no way.
No, literally, go look at my Steam page. It's literally at a thousand
Bro,
and nine
I
point eight
can't
hours right
open
now.
Steam. My computer's ass.
But yeah, I spent a lot of time playing this game. I started playing it back in 2016 before they updated a lot of stuff about it, before they've added a lot of things. So I've been around with the game a while. And it has gotten very, very popular in the horror community. At the very last Comic Con, or not Comic Con, Spookala,
Mhm.
was at the last horror convention that we went to there. We actually saw several Dead by Daylight characters that were together in that one,
Yeah.
including one that wasn't even a Dead by Daylight character yet. That got added later. So that person, whoever that was cosplaying as Albert Wesker for Resident Evil, you predicted that. Good job.
I just realized I never even dropped a name. We're just talking about this game without even dropping a name. So the game is Dead by Daylight. I know nothing about this other than the fact that it is a multiplayer survival horror game where you could play as a killer and kill people, or you could play as a survivor, including Nick Cage for some reason.
Yeah. So what Dead by Daylight here is, it's a horror game where it's a multiplayer horror game actually, where four survivors go up against one killer. Survivors are trying to repair generators to open up an exit gate to leave the trial, it's called, and the killer, who is also controlled by a person, has to go hunt down the survivors, knock them down, and put them up on meat hooks to sacrifice them to the entity, which is the thing that controls the whole game. It's like the god of the world.
Hmm.
That's the whole basics of that right there. I'm trying to find some more stuff right here. But despite this game being a somewhat simple multiplayer game where killer tries to kill survivor, it's got a absolutely nuts lore. So
Yeah,
how
I
the
remember
entity
your.
works.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because I remember that you say that there's always lore. I'm like, what lore? What do you mean there's lore to a game? What?
The thing about the entity here, it's usually depicted as a spider-like being, which you actually see when people get sacrificed. It stabs into them and
Hmm.
like drags them up into the sky. But the entity, this is a little entry from a character called Benedict Baker, who's kind of like the lore man in this game because he has a bunch of journals he's left around and shit.
Hmm.
He said that the entity he's dubbed is evil in its purest form. You don't notice it until the killer hangs you up, but once on the hook, the entity takes over, pulling one up towards quote something else. Now, the entity, its entire thing is it travels slowly through cosmos, slowly consuming worlds, and it drags people into these realms that it's created with its own mind to feed off their fear, or in the case of the killers, they're actually also dragged there in the same way that survivors are, but they are manipulated into committing these sacrifices to keep instilling fear in each survivor. Once a survivor has lost fear or has become too accustomed to it, despite their minds being wiped out after every trial, so it's always basically a first trial for them.
Hmm.
Once a survivor no longer is useful, they're cast into the abyss.
Oh, is the entity like a playable character, or is it just kind of like someone that's mentioned, or is it someone that you can like maybe see in game when you're
You can
playing?
tech you can technically see it in game. If you grab a photo or even look up Dead by Daylight sacrifice or something like that. The only glimpses you ever get to see of the entity is its weird spider-like limbs coming down and stabbing the survivor and dragging it up in the sky.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's not a playable character. It's simply the thing that you are either as a survivor trying not to get sacrificed to, or as a killer trying to sacrifice people to.
Oh, that's weird.
There are rare times where the entity will allow killers to just outright take a life, just for fun.
Mhm.
These are shown. They're items which are called offerings in the game. You like burn them beforehand; they get consumed. But there's things called memento moris, which may sound familiar if you know anything about Latin. The actual term memento mori comes from a type of little keepsake ring that was very popular in France, I think. It's a little tiny skull ring with a little pocket in there you can hide a little tiny thing in. They're pretty
Mhm.
neat, but moris in this case just grant the killer the ability to outright murder someone in the realm instead of having to go through the whole process of knocking them down and sacrificing them.
Okay.
How the game works is you have to repair a total of 5 generators and then open the exit gates there. And the killer, in order to be sacrificed, you have to be put on a hook 3 times. The first
Why
time,
3?
the first time you have a chance to struggle, try and get off, someone can get you off the hook. The second time, the entity comes down, and your character is busy trying to fight it from going into them, so they're a bit occupied. So someone else has to get them off at the most. And the third time, they're instantly sacrificed.
Okay.
But yeah, those are called hook phases by the community there. There's
Okay.
also a series. This is one of the most interesting parts about this. Well, really video gamey section parts about the whole video game is there's
Mhm.
perks that each character has that are unique to them. You know, little powers, little things, little buffs that make the killer change the killer in some way or change the survivors in some way.
Mhm.
Like, so there's lockers in the realms that you can hide in to try and evade from the killer. The drawback is that if they find you, you're instantly picked up. But there is a perk added to the game where if you hide in a locker for 3 seconds, if you burst out of it when the killer is near it, it stuns them.
Oh,
It was called Head On.
nice.
Head On, apply directly to the forehead.
The
Oh god,
forehead.
the memes when that perk
God.
showed up.
I remember actually seeing those commercials on the TV. I'm like, "Wow, this is dumb."
Head On, apply directly to the
Directly
forehead.
to the forehead. Head on.
Don't mind me, I'm just
From
opening the
the
game in the background so I can look at
yeah,
stuff while I'm doing this.
yeah. From the makers of Hard On.
Oh fuck. The makers of Hard On. Oh god.
I'm
Uh, uh,
sorry.
you're fine, honey.
I did have a question though, if you don't mind answering.
Oh yeah,
Cause
go ahead.
yeah, so I don't know if you recall, James, but remember how near the beginning of the year when of course this is gonna go into Halloween Horror Nights, fucking of course, right? Remember in the beginning of the year when all the speculations and stuff started like kind of like coming out and stuff,
Yeah.
and the tagline, um, "We'll see you in the fog"
Yes.
came up. A lot of people lost their shit because they thought that it was something coordinated with Dead by Daylight. Is that just because fog is just kind of like a, I guess, a spooky thing and it's used heavily in the game, or is it like something else? Because
This is
again,
actually keep going. Sorry, I
no, it's
interrupted you
just
there.
no, you're fine, bro. I do it to you all the time. You're fine, dog. But oh god, oh no, I'm doing Luna's thing. Shit. Anyway, we're gonna stop that. Um, but crap, I lost.
We were talking about the fog thing there.
Yeah, I was talking about the fog, but um, you know what? Just yeah. What's the deal with the fog? Because
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come back to me maybe.
Okay. The fog is actually a thing relating directly to the entity. And just about every entry talking in the lore that in each killer and each survivor, there's a little button you can press to read their backstory and everything.
Hmm.
Every single one of them, it ends with the fog rolling in and then the person waking up in a new realm. The actual fog is part of the entity.
Oh, that's weird.
The entity's kind of a weird creature. It's not super it doesn't have like a set form. Technically, all the realms and everything that you're interacting with in the game is the entity.
So is like the fog kind of like composed of like auric particles and stuff, and then that's what kind of causes the entity to kind of like form everything inside the realms, I guess.
Yes, the entirety of the realms is the entity's body.
Oh, that is freaky.
Yeah, it's very creepy when you think about it.
That's really so. So technically, so technically Nick Cage has been inside the entity.
You know what's funny is I've heard people in lore wise through a couple of different things people have dug through. The entity is most of the time described as she.
She?
Yeah,
Why she?
I don't know. Something
I
made
mean,
people
women are
believe it's
powerful,
female.
absolutely, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the most recent DLCs. That's how characters come to the game is through downloadable content. The two most recent were Nicolas Cage as a survivor, which is very funny because it's not even Nicholas. This game has like a set of like horror. Usually there's like horror movies in here, like Leatherface is in here, Freddy Krueger. We had the Stranger Things DLC that was there, so it's usually follows like movies or TV that they put in the game.
hmm
Nicolas Cage is not playing a character. It is just literally the actor Nicolas Cage.
yeah, just Nick Cage. It's not anything. It's not for like him from like Willy's Wonderland or
Yeah,
from Prisoners of the Ghostland, which I don't even know if you've seen that yet. You need to. It's good. Um, but it's just Nick Cage.
this is also the funniest thing about this. So Nicolas Cage, right? He You know how I just mentioned that each survivor gets their mind wiped. They don't remember anything except what's going on in the exact moment, basically, right?
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage is not that way.
he's too powerful. He's Nicolas Cage.
No, and like even in his trailer and everything, it specifically says, "I still remember who I am." So Nick Cage, for some reason, is just immune to the entity mind wiping thing and can always remember every trial.
You know, that's just kind of badass if you really think about it.
What's funny is he's the most talkative out of every most for reference. Most survivors do not talk.
Yeah,
In the early game, the only sounds you ever heard out of any of the voice actors were grunts and grunts of them being smacked by weapons and hurt,
yeah.
or screaming as they get impaled on a rusty hook.
Mm-hmm.
But Nicolas Cage talks a lot. It's really
It's
funny.
I'll say it's Nicolas Cage. You're surprised?
There's a voice line for him where he if he's being chased by Michael Myers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I've heard him go "Na-na-na-na-na-na-na, stop. He also he just has so many voices. It's almost like they let Nicolas Cage into the recording studio and just let him ramble. Like if you guys
I
get the
hope
chance,
so.
go onto the Wikipedia, look up Nicolas Cage, and just scroll all the way down to the bottom to all the voice lines. They're so fucking funny.
I love
Let me actually
Nicolas Cage.
let me grab a couple for example. But I've been playing him a lot because of that.
Come on, it's Nicolas Cage. You can't not play him.
Eh,
But yeah,
he even has a
uh,
bunch of costumes and shit.
but yeah. Speaking of characters, what are the characters? Because there are some characters that you've showed me that are really, really fucking cool. Because I know that they have like their IP characters, like you said, like they have like
Yeah,
Leatherface, they have Myers, they have the alien, the Xenomorphs, which I'm so happy about.
yeah, which
But
they just added, which is very nice.
yeah, but the IP characters they're all fun and stuff, but what about the original characters that are actually game specific?
If we're
Like,
talking,
hmm?
okay, yeah, this game is a very does a very interesting thing. It's not just like a Smash Bros type thing where it's always licensed characters. This game has plenty of unique characters that are absolutely amazing, especially the killers. Now, when the game first came out for release, the very only killers that were around were the Trapper, which you see on pretty much every single piece of artwork dedicated to the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's that dude with the big mask and the spikes poking out of him with the bear trap and the machete.
Mm-hmm.
His actual proper name's Evan Macmillan, but I'll delve more into the killer backstories later. Then we have the Wraith, proper name Philip Ojimojo. These were all people at one point, by the way, and the Hillbilly, who took the name Max Thompson Jr. because his father never gave him a proper name.
Oh, that's kind of sad, actually.
The Hillbilly's always been one of my favorites because that was back in the day when they thought they couldn't get licenses for games. So he was basically the Leatherface stand-in. Trapper was basically a Jason stand-in. They even have some hockey mask skins for him now. And Wraith was basically their own original thing. Also, more amazing uh, 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 original killers we have here are the Huntress, which you've probably also seen on a bunch of stuff. She's everywhere in art.
Mhm.
The old bunny mask lady with the hatchet. She's Russian. She constantly hums a lullaby. Her entire ability is being able to throw a hatchet really hard.
Mhm.
That sounds kind of lame in like just retrospect, because it's like, oh, you can just throw a hatchet. She's probably the strongest killer in the game because the hatchets don't have a distance that they like fade away at. She can literally hit you from across the map.
Ouch.
I've done it before as Huntress. It feels really nice.
Wow, James, you're totally not sadistic at all.
I play killer primarily.
I'm very well aware. I wouldn't put it behind you.
But yeah, we've got plenty of original characters. We have technically Ghostface, who's in here, is an original character because they
Yeah.
didn't get the rights to the scary movie. Or yeah, Ghost. Sorry, Scream. I keep mixing the two up because I'm looking at the fucking stupid ass Scream mask there. The "What's up" face. Here, I'll screen share for you, Ashley, so you can take a look what I'm looking at while I'm doing it.
Okay. I
But
do
yeah,
have a question for you
Ghostface.
whenever you get a chance to too.
Okay, yeah. Once I finish up the Ghostface thing, I'll ask you here.
Yeah.
But Ghostface here is technically an original character because they did not get the rights to the Scream Ghostface. They got the rights to the mask, which is owned by a separate entity than Dimension Pictures.
Yeah. I keep hearing us a lot about the stuff with like the mask. The mask that a
Yeah,
lot of people are if they're doing something with like Ghostface, they could either use they can't really use the character. Well, no, they can't use they can use the character, they can't use the mask or something like that. It's really weird.
yeah. That's because technically they're two separate things. The mask is owned by Fun World, which is was like a Halloween costume company before they used that. Like the Ghostface mask, that existed before Scream was ever made. They found that in like a costume shop.
Oh, okay.
So it's owned by a different company. The actual character itself is owned by like Dimension Pictures still, I think. But this Ghostface here is actually an entirely original character they created that wears the mask, who's a reporter who makes his own stories about murders. Basically,
Oh, one more time?
it's a reporter that wears the Ghostface mask in this one. His name's Danny Olson. Well, that's what his alias is at least, and he writes about the murders he commits. Basically,
That's really interesting.
Eh, what's amazing is his kill animation in the game for when he has a Mori. He stabs the survivor in the back, pulls out a digital camera, takes a quick selfie with them, and then lets them drop back as he continues to save it on his
Yep.
camera.
Oh, I thought he honestly did the snaky like for a second on your screen here.
But yeah, more original characters that we have. My personal favorite out of all of them, the Death Slinger. I fucking love the Death Slinger. He's
Yeah, he is really cool looking.
a huge cowboy with a modified gun that he's built himself because he's an engineer. He was a bounty hunter back in the old West days, but he also liked tinkering a lot. He
Mhm.
built a handheld harpoon gun because he got tired of his bounties running away. So his solution was to blow a hole through their chest and drag them back by a chain, basically.
Interesting.
I like Deathwinger a lot.
He is really
He's one
cool
of my
looking.
favorites. We also have Blight, which has a giant amount to do with the entity.
How so?
All that stuff that you see dripping out of his face, you guys won't be able to see it, but there's an orange. He's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type character. He
Mhm.
was a Scottish alchemist who delved a little too far into these pustules he kept finding, which glowed bright orange, and
Mhm.
they are actually the essence of the entity. So
Oh, so
he
this like probably
started.
like some really powerful stuff then.
Oh yeah, that's why he's all fucked up and disgusting looking. His eyes are glowing. His mouth's all fucked up. He's all mutated looking. He actually has. If you look at his hand right there, he has 6 fingers on each hand.
Mhm.
I only noticed that recently. I thought it was neat.
Yeah, that is really cool. I actually it took me a little bit to look at it actually and notice it, but
But yeah, the Blight is a character that has. He's made his serum. That's what makes him powerful in the game. But the serum got too far and actually corrupted his mind. So for a while, he may have been exactly like a survivor, running around desperately trying to escape things. But
mhm.
eventually, he became a killer. He's the only character I know of that's basically gone from survivor to killer in like real time.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, he has a giant amount to do with the lore.
I can imagine so if he's connected to the entity, which is like I guess the big boss man of the game essentially.
Yeah. We also have the twins. They're not very popular just because 'cause they're not very good, but they're very interesting.
How so are they not how are they not good?
They just have a they're not their actual power isn't very strong compared to most other killers that get picked a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The twins are technically 2 killers. It's the big, mom sister here, right here, her name's Charlotte,
Mhm.
and her little brother, Victor, who you guys, if you look at art of them, you'll see him popping out of her chest. It's not a mother and a son, it's a sister, they're conjoined twins.
Okay.
Now, when they were not in the entity's realm, they were just French out there, and their mother was actually burned at the stake for being a witch after giving birth to the deformed Charlotte and Victor there.
Mhm.
So they've always had to fend for themselves. They hate people for a honestly very good reason. But that's what made them so brutal is having to survive completely alone after their mom was burned in front of them.
Mhm.
But Victor actually has been dead for a very long time. But once Charlotte was taken to the entity's realm, Victor promptly hopped out of her chest and scampered off into the woods, and she chased after him.
Nice.
So those two are brother and sister, and they have a really cool concept, honestly. I think they're really great.
Seems
It's just
so.
sad. It's just sad that they aren't very good in general because I like the twins a lot. I think they're really neat.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between your stream and then the actual Dead by Daylight website. On
Yeah.
the website underneath their killers tab, this is the question I was trying to ask you earlier. Underneath the killers tab, they have all of the killers, but they have like different things for like certain like for like the Xenomorph and the Mastermind, Sadako, the
Yeah.
Nemesis, Pinhead, the Pyramid Head, all that stuff. They're labeled as franchise DLC, and then they got characters like the Singularity, the Skull Merchant, Knight, the Artist, the Dredge. All those guys are original DLC. And then I thought it was really interesting. When I scrolled down farther to the bottom,
Oh
they
yeah.
have the Huntress, the Nurse, the Hillbilly, the Wraith, and the Trapper all as base game. What the heck is base game versus original DLC?
Base game. They are also original characters, but that just means that you don't have to pay money for those guys.
Oh, okay.
Those guys come with the game.
Gotcha.
They got slowly added, so instead of the original roster, just 3 killers, we now have 5 of them, I believe, which is the nurse and the huntress.
Hmm.
It's very interesting. The nurse is a very, very interesting character right there. She's also she was the very first DLC killer ever added. She got added with Nia, the survivor, who's
Hmm.
a Swedish graffiti artist. But the nurse was worked in an insane asylum. Her name was Smelly Smithson. Smelly? Okay, Sally Smithson. Christ. She worked at Crotus Pen Asylum and doing the night shift. And over the years, after just uh, after her husband lost her home, uh, her, no, her sorry, Andrew's form had. Oh yeah, she lost her husband in a work accident. Is what happened.
Hmm.
Had no option. Went to the asylum there. Had the night shift because that's all she could get. But over the years and over the horrible things that she saw there, she slowly lost her mind.
Hmm.
And once one day, and it says in early September, they found over 50 patients dead in their beds. 4 staff members also dead. Each one had been suffocated to death by her, and she was the only one sitting in the night, rocking back and forth. They got her in an ambulance, but the ambulance crashed on the way to the hospital, and she was never seen again. All the staff were found dead.
Oh, that's so fun.
The nurse is quite literally the actual strongest killer in the game because the way you avoid killers in this game is you loop them around objects and try and extend them chasing you for as long as possible because all of them have a faster run speed than you. Like they can't run, but it's their standard walking speed. They will eventually catch up to you if you keep going in a straight line. The nurse can fucking teleport.
Whoa.
Yep. It's kind of hard to master. It's pretty skill based, honestly. It's very easy to be bad at nurse, but really hard to be very good at her. But once you master her, it does not matter what is in between you and the survivor. You will hit them.
Oh, wow.
She's very strong. There was a point in time where people feared her so much that the second they heard her teleport, because she gasps and like wails at each teleport because it's physically painful to her. Um,
Oh, what's painful to her?
uh, Blinking, it's called, or teleporting. You can
Mhm,
hear her gasp and scream with each blink.
mhm.
What this
That
it used
sucks.
Yeah, it used to be that every single time someone you'd load into a game and someone would hear the nurse teleport from across the map, and they'd all just immediately disconnect.
Oh.
People were that afraid of playing against her.
They're like, "Oh, oh, oh, fuck this."
Yep. Yeah, the nurse is she's actually the technically there's that's kind of funny. I just realized we have both the nurse and the doctor as killers.
Hmm.
The doctor is also incredibly interesting in that I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that he was canonically part of MK Ultra.
What's MK Ultra?
It was a this is a real world thing here where he was a the MK Ultra was a CIA experiment literally designed to try and figure out how to brainwash people.
Oh.
So the doctor here, if you take a look at him in any art, he is covered with wires, electrodes mounted to his head, his face and eyes plastered open by the own apparatus that he's put on himself here. There's electrical tubes coming out of his arms. All of this is self-inflicted. Uh, he was a psychiatrist. His name was Herman Carter. Uh, he oh yeah, he was even part of the CIA. Oh my god, he was he worked at an institute, which was a psychiatric hospital that was apparently, quote, even in his backstory, really just a front for the CIA.
How so?
Uh, they were learning how to torture people to more effectively get stuff out of them.
Mhm.
And according to this, Herman there began to use really strange and extremely violent efforts to extract information from prisoners. And
Hmm.
his extremely liberal use of extremely violent electroshock therapy revealed very dramatic results. And over the years, he just kind of became known as the Doctor, and you just never wanted to be in his office. You don't want to be called the Doctor there. But
Mhm.
then one day, of course, all the personnel, all the patients, and all the prisoners were found dead with all types of head trauma. But the Doctor was never seen from again. This is a killer that, in the actual game here, his entire power is to literally drive you insane by repeatedly electroshocking you.
Oh, nice.
There is no way to hide from him. No matter what, he will drive you insane and make you scream. Meaning, even if you try and hide away from like stealth past him, it does not matter. He'll find you anyway.
Nice. You know what? It's really interesting because when you're talking about like his I guess doing his weird methods of thing, it reminds me a lot of Dr. Albert Kane, aka the caretaker from horror. They have like a very similar backstory.
They are really similar, aren't they? That's funny.
Really weird. They're
Mr. Kane
both
here.
doctors. And
They are
then
both
they're
doctors.
both very kooky with their treatments.
Oh yeah. What's kind of funny is there's a skin for him where he's wearing like operating theater gear, and his weapon, his actual like hand weapon in that is the arm of a electronic surgeon, which it says the doctor tore from its the doctor tore from its pedestal out of jealousy.
Out of jealousy.
He got jealous of a surgery machine, ripped it off the wall, and presumably beats people to death with it now.
You know what? I can argue with that, you know?
But an interesting thing about the doctor is that normally when you see like insane uh, psychological torture type people, they're sadistic, not masochistic. He is both.
Oh,
All of his shit that he's done to
lovely.
his patients, he does to himself at the exact same time.
Oh, he's a kinky bastard.
He is. But if you actually look at his character very closely, there's if his eyes are forcibly held open, his mouth and lips are peeled back to like constantly having a smile with that like dental brace that they use for oral surgery.
Yeah.
Those electrodes are wrapped around his head. All of that stuff he intentionally did to himself.
So what I'm getting is this guy probably likes cock and ball torture.
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me if his penis was like fucking covered in electrodes or some bullshit.
Oh god. Electro penis.
Electro cock.
Elect You know what? Electro head. Come on.
Uh, oh, even in this one right here, this is one of his. I'm looking at a skin right here called Test Subject One. That was his very first, basically his look, the very first look he had before he was picked up by the CIA. The helmet
Okay.
that he's wearing in this that covers his eyes, apparently, as I'm reading this, it was designed to make test subjects run, turn, and stop via fucking remote control,
Bruh.
and he's wearing it intentionally.
You know what? Hey, he has the drip.
Yeah. So this man, the doctor's probably the killer I'm the most afraid of if I ever saw it in real life.
Yeah, be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good, man.
that dude's fucking terrifying. There's also a great one. One of my personal favorites, the clown. I like the clown.
The clown.
He's a serial killer that, if you read through his story and his biography, which is super long, it
Holy
actually it lines up with a lot of actual serial killer like stories, like people that have actually become a serial killer. He started out
oh,
life. I don't know why I keep shortening words. He actually became serial killer.
nice English.
Yeah, I'm very Englishing right now. He
You're very
started out. He was
machete right now?
very Englishing.
Oh, I heard machete. I'm like, you're very machete right now? That makes no sense. I guess you
But
can
yeah.
say that English is dull.
Okay.
I'm sorry, continue.
Thank you, honey. But yeah, the clown here. His actual proper name's Kenneth Chase, but he changes it a lot because he uses a lot of surname like just fake names.
Mhm.
Born in 1932. His mother didn't survive the labor, and it made his dad grow to resent him, and made him get super drunk. But so basically, by the time he was at school, they basically lived almost completely separate lives.
No, that's
But
very sad.
oh yeah, but over the years, he began collecting like feathers he'd get on the walk home. He had like a little cigar box that was full of them, and he liked running them over his lips to see how they felt. Uh, but over that time, he actually wanted to try and catch one alive to see how soft they were. So he just became buddies with a local dentist and stole some anesthetics. So he rigged it in a way that it would knock out the bird long enough so he could touch it. But one of the times it worked, and as he picked it up in his hands, instead of just touching it, he twisted its head off.
Oh.
And over the years, he just kind of kept going with stuff like that, becoming really, really skilled at customizing the actual dosage he needed. And in 1954, a young man went missing in his town. 4 months later, his father was working under the crawl space under his house, found the cigar box, opened it, saw feathers, animal paws, and a single man's finger.
Mm. Fingers. Anybody ask anyone craving some Wendy's chili right now?
This guy really likes fingers. He even
Fingies.
has he wears like a mishmash of all sorts of clown outfits, like a ringmaster's outfit, everything. You actually see a chain that he keeps on him with a bunch of fingers.
Mhm.
But he went there, went home, saw his dad leaving the crawl space with the cigar box, turned on his heel, and never came home ever again.
Wait, he did what now?
He got home from work, saw his
Uh-huh.
dad crawling out of the crawl space with his cigar box, to which he responded by immediately turning right on his heel and never coming back home ever again.
Oh, okay.
Just left, gone. Uh,
Oof.
so then he started traveling with a circus where he had the new name Jeffrey Hawk. He had a new personality, new disguise. Got really into like drinks, drugs, alcohol, junk food. So he became kind of big. He's kept stealing clothes and shit. It doesn't fit him at all. But he would keep doing that, and he'd fashion this disguise that let him get close enough to his victims before he anesthetized them, dragged them back to his caravan, and tortured them, eventually taking the finger. He had
So
his,
he took fingers of everyone he killed?
yep, he'd take one finger, the prettiest finger, according to him. He'd while the person was alive still, he would carefully examine their fingers, and run his tongue over the one to find which one was the tastiest, and then cut it, and then kill the person.
Okay, I gotta know what what makes a finger pretty? Like it's a finger, you know.
He has an actual weight. I guess he has his own little base that he bases around, but he looks for like the best finger, I guess, to take.
Like just imagine like just him like
Yeah. You can
salty. This one's the good one. This
literally
one's the one I'm chopping.
that's literally what he does. What's kind of funny
Going,
is his kill animation for his Mori is he steps on the survivor's head, picks up a hand, uh, looks at their fingers, chooses one, and then lops it off, sticks it in his fucking mouth, and then puts it in his pocket.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Over the years, he removed the costume less and less, kept going, and would just travel between circuses, pretending to be pretending to be part of them until he could get someone, and then would peace out.
Dang, somebody better not tell this man that chicken fingers exist.
Yeah. But yeah, if you see that right there, that's his little finger ring right there.
I'm gonna have to. I've been trying to stay away from the stream because it's making my stuff lag so much.
Oh yeah, you're good. You don't need to look at that. But
He is jiggly. What
yeah, his belly has jiggle physics. It's amazing.
is that? All the fingers in
Yeah,
there?
right there.
Oh,
All the
I was
fingers.
talking about in his belly. I'm like, is that all these fingies that he's been
Yeah.
eating?
What's actually kind of interesting is that he chooses a different finger depending on whether or not the survivor he mores is male or female.
What?
Yeah. For females, he removes the index finger. For males, he removes the ring finger. No, wait, it's for females, he removes the ring finger. For males, he removes the pinky finger.
Oh, because there's the ring on it or something if they're married.
I think so.
Oh dang, they husband getting not getting that. Did I just say they husband? Oh
Yeah, they
no.
husband. We're both having brain rot right now.
They husband. God, I'm so sorry if I offended anybody.
They husband. What's kind of funny is the clown when he was created for the game, uh, they had so many expressions they want him to make that they had to build a custom face rig for specifically to model his face.
Bro, wow.
This would later be seen with the spirit, where this is another original character, which is an Onryo. Take her out of the fucking hooked on you skin real quick.
Isn't that the dating game one?
Yes, this Dead by Daylight made their own dating game where you could date the killers.
I want to play this game though.
I have it. I can share it to you if you want.
Please, I need to play this game.
Yeah. But the spirit, she's amazing. She's cut to all hell. She got hacked up by her father.
She
And
happy.
what's interesting is the entity chose her instead of her violent father because of the sheer hatred she had in her mind when she died.
Mm,
But the spirit here also had so many facial expressions they wanted to give her that they had to also build another custom face rig for her.
dang.
She's awesome. I like the spirit a lot.
But hey, can we
Her
see
whole,
the fancy skin again? I want to look at it. I see it's like a giant hat.
yeah, she's wearing a bikini, like cover, and a giant sun hat.
I love it.
There she is.
It fits. She looks very dashing.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
So you said that she was disembodied by her father? What the
Yeah,
heck?
all those cuts you see on her. I think her father like lost his job. Let me look at the lore again. But yeah, they worked in Japan's, and of course, as you know, Japan has a really major work lifestyle that they have there.
Mm,
Yep. One day, he almost lost his job. Barely had
almost
any
sure he
money.
did.
I think he did lose his job. Yeah, they cut him. He got fired after 22 years working there.
Dang.
Yeah, came back. Rin, which her name's Rin Yamaoka.
Mm.
She came back from working at a restaurant because she was like a waitress there. She parked her bike in the shed, heard her mother scream from the house, got in there, and found just bits and pieces of her mother all over the floor, cut, uh, absolutely sliced all hell. And she saw her father standing there with the family katana, and he turned that katana on her.
Oh my god.
So he killed his entire fucking family and presumably himself.
Oh, I was gonna say, what happened to him?
She tried to fight back, but he, you know, absolutely slashed the hell out of her and then threw her through the glass, which is why you see bits and pieces of glass sticking out of her everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. But she swore vengeance, and in
So
that
she
moment,
was a little angy.
yeah, in that moment, the entity whispered to her in her death, and made an oath with her. That's an interesting thing about the entity is it's not the entity has to have some way to make the killers work for them.
Mhm.
So there's bits of characters that aren't actually seeing things like they should be, or some that have been tortured into basically that have actually been tortured into working for the entity, like the trapper. All those hooks and wires that you see poking out of the back of him were placed there as a punishment by the entity.
Oh.
Uh, a lot of them. What's interesting, Death Slinger, his name's Caleb Quinn. He doesn't even see the survivors properly when he's in the trials. He just sees the people who wronged him.
Oh.
Uh,
Dang.
a lot of killers are like that actually, where they don't actually properly see the real thing that's happening. Let's see, what are other killers that are kind of like that? Ren's kind of similar to that. Uh, Plague probably can't even tell what's going on. Plague's interesting. She's from ancient Babylon. She's a priestess that got completely succumbed to by the plague, of course.
I was say I love her design so much.
Oh yeah, she's amazing. She's also one of the few killers that actively talks. She
Mm.
speaks in ancient Babylonian though, so I have no idea what she's saying.
Yeah. She's so
Uh,
pretty though. I love her.
yeah, but she also made some sort of pact with the gods, and that's why she's here now. So I bet you she probably has no idea what she's doing.
What's her backstory? Because I'm very interested. I think she's like one of the only people that I didn't hear, and I really like her too.
Yeah, her actual name's Aldiris or Adiris. Youngest family of seven, was left on the burning steps of the Temple of Purgation at the center of Babylon when she was born. Uh, Worked and basically lived in the temple her whole life. She was
Mhm.
lived quiet servitude, tended to the gardens, made the ceremonial meals, would pray, and when she came of age, she became a high-ranking priestess. And that weapon that you see her holding is actually the censer, which basically has incense. It's a big old lamp that has like incense in it that's used for religious things.
Mhm.
Kept working on her, but over the years, the plague came knocking, and it started killing all the priests that were in there, and it became almost to the point where they became too weak to perform any kind of ritual. Aldira's here assisted in as many purification rituals as she could, but she was still just a novice. And one day, she just before her first ceremony, she visited the priest's sanctuary chamber, lit candles, and noticed a weird little narrow opening in the back. She slid through there and found a crypt that was hidden under there. And the chamber was bare except for the statue of a big golden woman with her hands outstretched, her fingers covered in jewels, which was a sign apparently that she'd been waiting for. When she got back in the Great Hall, bowed, and all the followers bowed down as she entered. She grabbed a ceremonial dagger and her and was wearing all the stuff that the basically the woman was wearing out there. She had the headpiece on. She had the ceremonial dagger now. So people began to uh, f- uh, basically flock down to her. Uh, she started preaching. People and apparently during one of her preaching there, uh, a woman in the back passed out, and she rushed her and saw black blisters all over her. And apparently without any sort of hesitation, she grabbed her sacred blade and then severed her own toe and offered it as a sacrifice to the gods, asking to protect the woman. Disease kept spreading, but she first It says her faith was tried when she first showed signs of infection, came coughing, coughs up blood, her neck erupted into abscesses, her 4 foot toe started going black. She got ashamed, so she started wearing a more of a veil there, and always carried her censer with her to mask the smell of her rotting body. Kept performing rituals, but no ritual could save her. Well, eventually she walked out, secluded herself to a cave, and realized that she couldn't go any farther. Her followers and her realized the truth. They were all infected. There'd be no saving them. So, when they were sitting there, they all made their very last prayer, and then a cool fog rolled in, and none of them were ever found again.
Hmm.
There's that
Very
fog again.
weird. Fog is back.
Yep.
What is up with this damn fog?
What is up with this damn fog?
What is up with this damn fog?
So basically, she's here because the entity saved her, and this is the price she has to pay.
Fog. She has that fog tax.
Christ.
Yeah, I
The
love
hunt.
her design. She's so pretty.
Oh, yeah,
And
she's amazing.
she reminds me a lot of oh my god, Gwendolyn from fucking is it Elden Ring or
Oh, Dark Souls. You're talking about Dark Sun
Dark
Gwendolyn from
Souls?
Dark
Dark
Souls.
Souls. Yeah,
It's
I
because
was
the
like,
headpiece, isn't it?
hmm?
It's because the headdress,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, it looks very alike.
I can see it. I can really see it. Another character I'd really love to talk about here is Huntress. She is from Russia. Uh,
Russia.
she she and her mother lived out in the woods, surviving. They hunted to get their food, but one day, very sadly, Huntress's mother became was gored by a deer or a stag in the middle of one of their hunts.
Hmm.
So as she laid there bleeding out, holding young Anna, which is her name, in her arms, she hummed to her the lullaby she always hummed her to go to sleep, uh, and just held her until she died. And from that point further, Anna, the huntress, was on her own. She lived out in those woods for the entirety of her life. She hunted, and it said she very, very slowly got bored of killing animals and moved on to harder. She started with squirrels, worked up to deer, kept going, kept practicing her hunt, and it says her humanity became a half-remembered dream. She started widening up her territory and entirely lived off her hunts. Eventually, she got really tired of boring stuff like hares, mink, foxes, so she hunted things like wolves and bears. And when travelers started coming through her woods, she discovered her new favorite prey: humans.
People.
Yep, anyone who unluckily strayed into her territory was slaughtered just like any other animal. She liked to collect little trinkets and toys from them, and especially toys when there was like little kids. But she could never bring herself to kill little girls, so she'd take them
Mm.
back to her house. Remember, she was never properly. Um,
But the
she
boys are
never.
fine.
Yeah, no, the boys got killed.
Okay, interesting.
She killed everyone except the little girls. Uh,
Do you think it's because of like the way that she kind of got left alone
yep,
because her mother died?
that's exactly it. Actually, she still has the mind of when her mother died. She's still basically a 12-year-old or like a. She's a very not even a 12-year-old.
Oh,
I'd almost say like 6-year-old. Basically, imagine a 6-year-old mind in this giant hulking body of just hulk of a woman body
yeah,
that
like
likes killing things. And
yeah.
so whenever she found girls, she'd take them back to her hut and keep them they'd be tied by the neck to a rope so they can wouldn't get away into the wilderness and die out there
Mhm.
because she couldn't let them. Uh-oh. No, don't disconnect my monitors. No.
Yep. All right, everybody. So we lost James. We're gonna go ahead and take a brief moment while we're waiting for him to get back. We'll we'll be right back, folks. All right, everybody, we're back. James is back, everybody. His computer decided to just go kaput on him.
My computer just kind of shat the bed there for a sec, but I'm back now.
Yeah.
Back to what I was saying about Anna there.
Yeah, so we were
Is
on the Huntress.
yeah, she'd keep the girls in there because she can't let them wander off. They'd certainly die out there in the wilderness. But she didn't
Hmm.
know how to take care of them because remember she has like the mind of a 6-year-old. So inevitably they'd die of like hunger because she wouldn't feed them, and she'd get angry, and they keep dying. It kept making her more and more angry, and eventually she was never heard from again. And now
Dang.
she lives in the entities realm.
Yes. She
But
doesn't
yeah,
have to worry about accidentally not knowing how to make mac and cheese anymore.
yeah. The Huntress is also incredibly interesting. She's one of my personal favorites. I like her a lot. She's very
Hmm.
fun to play. I like her lore a lot. She constantly hums that lullaby that her mom hummed her to die. That she doesn't have like so all the cures work by a terror radius, which is this big radius around them that makes your character's heart start beating faster. The faster it beats, the closer they are. The Huntress has a really small one, but keeping the same distance of her terror radius is her humming. So you hear her humming far before you see her.
Hmm.
So she keeps humming that lullaby she's heard for so long, and it's kind of funny because sometimes you'll hear her chuckle through it, like she'll start laughing.
Mm.
And
Totally not creepy.
oh yeah, she's terrifying. But yeah, that's the Huntress right there. My personal favorite. If you stun her with a pallet, which is how you stun killers in this game, you drop like a pallet on their face. Um, if you stun her, she throws a little temper tantrum real quick.
Mm. Definitely very childlike then.
Yeah. Ashley, do you have any killers you'd like to hear about there?
Let me go back to my little list because I know I do, definitely. Uh, you know what? I almost want to say the xenomorph, but I feel like that would probably be a spoiler for next episode, so maybe I should stay away from that one.
Maybe just because we'll be talking about Aliens sometime soon, because we finally got to watch it together. And once
We
we
got to
watch
watch the first
Aliens,
one.
yeah,
Yeah, once we got to the next one, we'll be good. So stay
yeah.
tuned. You know what? Let's talk about the artist because I really like her.
Ooh, the Arist. That's a very recent original character that was made. Now, throughout the actual lore of the game, this also happened with Charlotte and Victor there, the twins. For some reason, I like referring to the killers by first name. I don't know why.
Mm,
I think it's funny.
fair.
But uh, she actually dealt with this. Happens. This crops up a couple other times in stories. Black hooded cultists that are actually cult members of the entity.
Oh.
People that serve the entity that wear these big dark hoods, and they're found basically all throughout history because the entity pulls from all sorts of points in history.
Hmm.
The artist here, super gifted artist, lived out in Chile. Actually, she's Chilean,
Hmm.
but she started became grief. Uh, cared for her brother since she was a child because her mother disappeared, and her father blamed the Carmina, which is her name, Carmina.
Hmm.
But she painted. That's what she found. Absolutely. That's where she found solace in taking her grief out. She also watched her brother drown.
Oh.
So yeah, her father basically found her sitting on the creek shore, clutching her brother's body in his arms, with a big giant murder of crows surrounding her. It says she literally cried until her voice broke.
Oh.
Uh,
That's one way to get a sore
yeah.
throat.
But let's see. Apparently, she actually tried. Oh yeah, she almost tried. She tries to commit suicide here after losing literally everything. Tried to jump off a bridge, but just before she did, a bunch of crows basically. It says the clouds basically split open and a million black crows dove from the sky. One landed on her shoulder and peered directly in her eyes, as if looking directly into her soul.
Oh.
She kept staring at this crow, and they all kept surrounding her. And she looked down for a second, and the thunder of cause just completely interrupted her suicide, basically. The crows cared about her. They cared for her well-being. So,
Aw.
she climbed
They're
back
little
down.
crow guys, little crow friends.
Eh. Inspired by everything, she started making these paintings she'd painted to release her grief before, but all of them transformed into a very surrealist black ink style, usually involving crows. She became very popular as a street artist, became very well renowned. Uh, you always made these giant, grandiose costumes that you actually see her in, even in the game, and just became a giant like a really amazing performer, amazing artist. Attracted very, very big groups. She went about trying to expose a certain corrupt politic group, and so she made this giant mural, basically showing them as the surrealist Grim Reaper harvesting the fields of Chilean families for them. She got pretty
Hmm.
radical, and then they even sent a gang of masked gunmen to break in her house, which then subdued Carmina and her friends, threw them in a van, drove them off, and so those people in the mask were the actual the robed cultists,
Mhm.
and he started performing a ritual, and while performing a ritual, he held up this knife and then suddenly brought it down, severing both of her hands.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah. And apparently, the hooded guy got in her face and said, "How are you gonna paint now?" She
Archie.
screamed, became pissed, and she got apparently became so. Oh yeah, they also ripped out her tongue. This she did not have a good life, by the way. The artist had a terrible, terrible fucking life.
That's really sucks.
I
Why do
feel
all
bad
the
for her.
killers have like really bad lives? Like, why?
That's how you get something more easily manipulative to kill for you.
Mm.
But basically, she got completely overwhelmed with grief, had no tongue, had no hands, so she cried out into the sky, and the crows answered. The crows
Mm.
dove down and fucking ripped literally everyone there except for Carmina apart.
And that's why kids, crows are called the murderers
Yeah,
because they murder people.
she was happy at first when they were just ripping apart the hooded people, but then they started going for her friends,
Mm.
and she continued to scream into the night until the fog rolled in. Fog engulfed her, and now she lives here.
Wow. Dude, what the damn fog, man?
Yeah. If you look closely at her character model, you see the severed. You can actually see her hands are severed directly there.
Yeah, like there's like little
Mm.
inky. She has ink hands, ink
Yep.
fingers.
Now she's helped by her crow friends in the Entity realm, and her hands have been replaced by these big globs of ink that flow upwards off of her body.
Ink hands, ink
Her body's
hands.
even kind of marred into a crow-like position. Her neck
Yeah.
elongated. I almost kind of think she's better off in the Entity's realm. I almost feel like she's better off here at times because holy shit, her living life sucked.
Yeah. Damn, imagine. I
At
feel
least she doesn't
bad.
have to be tortured anymore here.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I like the artist a lot, though. I think she's very
Yeah.
cool looking.
She's really cool. Feel bad for her. Poor girl.
Yeah, yeah. She probably has the most violently painful backstory I've heard of any of them.
Damn.
On the actual, on the note of new killers, we have the Singularity, who's a new one. This guy is the last two chapters that were released were sci-fi related. The Singularity looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, look at him. He looks like a wad of bubble gum with robot parts on him.
Yeah, basically he's one of the two favorite designs I have for original characters. It's him and the Dredge that are my two favorite.
Oh, come on, James. You don't like the trickster?
Fucking fuck you, K-pop man. I'll get to that later.
Oh man.
He's a K-pop artist. That's a killer.
No, no. No, you're fucking with me, dog.
No, I'm not joking. He's actually a K-pop artist.
No, you're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Okay, please after the singular talk about that because I'm wait, hang on, wait, wait, hang on.
He's one of the two most controversial killer characters that have been added.
Commercial, damn.
It's him and the Skull Merchant.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember.
The Singularity's cool. I like him a lot. He's from the future, actually. He's from a time where humanity's called Earth. Those mechanical parts that you guys see there, that's his actual body. These something happened to him, that crystal that's growing off him corrupted his hard drive, his artificial intelligence, and actually kind of marred it to the point where he wants to consume all human life and combine it together to make the perfect organism, basically.
Hmm. Totally
So
not hinting at the next chapter of the game.
yeah, so all those bits and pieces on there are human parts that he melted down together to make himself a better body, basically. The trickster. Oh, the trickster. I like his backstory a lot, but he sucks to play against because I don't his character. Oh my, you okay over there? For those that can't see it, she's currently just choking off screen. Uh,
Anyway, K-pop man.
the K-pop man. He's been an entertainer since he was young. He used to throw knives to attract crowds, basically, his parents' restaurant. Uh, he's South Korean, of course, because does not come from North Korea. That'd be kind of funny though. But yeah, he got really popular, became a K-pop star. Uh, but then all of his fucking he kind of began to loathe his bandmates. And one day during the studio, they had a fire that started from wires. He rushed to the control room and found the door was blocked by some fallen speakers, and his bandmates were pounding on the door, crying for them to let him out.
Mhm.
And very simply, he just simply listened to them scream.
Dang, that sounds like a skill issue.
He said they were screaming and screaming for him to save him, screaming his name, and he said it was the most beautiful thing he'd ever heard. Uh, the thing I
Oh.
like about the trickster is he's I like how well he's written as a psychopath. He's completely nuts. He actually what made him go even more nuts is that he liked to kidnap people and remix their screams into songs, like into the background of his band's songs.
I don't know why, but I immediately thought about the beginning of Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train.
Olive oil.
I. I'm in a silly mode, a silly mood. I'm
uh,
I'm ruining this podcast. I'm sorry, James.
you're good. You're not ruining it. But yeah, trickster. He was a he absolutely loved knocking people out, recording them screaming, torturing them. Jin, who is his he's his basically what is it agent. She's the survivor that came out with him. But
Mm.
yeah, one day she came back and literally found all of his half alive bodies back there. They were all hooked up and crying and shit. And I forgot what happened that took him to the fog. Oh yeah. Oh my. Oh, that's what he did. He ripped apart all the people on stage.
What do you mean you ripped apart people?
He literally brought them up on the stage for to make a performance for Jin because he's so twisted in the mind. He actually thinks people are enjoying watching him like torture people. So he's
Oh
putting on
God.
this whole performance for his agent. Very happy about it. He's excited to show her his brand new routine, and literally rips them apart in front of her on stage as and he prepared also to tie up the loose end because Yunjin had saw that and went to go kill her, but just as he reached her, the fog rolled in,
Hmm.
and now he gets his own stage
Oh God.
forever. Oh god, the skull. Oh, I may as well talk about the skull merchant yet next.
Yeah, I remember like when you were complaining a shit ton about her.
I
Like
didn't
you
like her much.
you didn't or you don't.
I still don't like her much. I like her a little bit more because she's kind of fun to play. I like her. She has like drones that track people and stuff. What?
All right, so
What?
tell me about this lady that you oh so despise with every passion of your being.
I can sum her up like a couple sentences. That's how kind of bland I find her character.
You know what? Bet. Good to go it. Go for it. I need to see. You know what, Han? Actually, before you do that, let me guess. This lady is either from a super rich family but hates her parents, specifically her father. I have a feeling that she's a daddy issue girl.
That's funny. She doesn't hate her father. Actually, her costume is based around a manga her father drew.
Okay, well, does she
Despite
come?
her being
Is
Brazilian,
she, is she rich? Does she come from a rich
yes,
family?
she's a CEO.
Billionaire.
Yes,
Billionaire.
she's literally a self.
You know
She's a
what?
she's a super rich CEO that hunts people for her spare time as sport.
What does she like? Help Jeff Bezos? Is she like the Brazilian Jeff Bezos or something?
Imagine, imagine Jeff Bezos one day decide, okay, I'm gonna hunt people. That's the character. It's Jeff. It's female Jeff Bezos with a like glittery gas mask. That's why I don't like her. I already don't like billionaires as it is. I don't want to play as a billionaire that murders people because she's all high and mighty.
So let me get this straight. This lady is the CEO of a company that probably sells like dishware or something.
Some shit, yeah.
Or is it like a tech company? No, I got this. She's the CEO of a technology company that makes drones and shit. And she's like, you know what? Yeah, this is my life now. So she uses the technology from her company, puts herself a badass in quotations thing of armor, and has her own army of drones that she uses to hunt down people and kill them because she has nothing better to do because she is already sitting on a bunch of piles of moolah.
Yeah, literally, she's a CEO.
Is it of a tech company though? I gotta know.
I think it's a website. It's like a tech company. She just her whole thing is she kept like flipping companies. She like become the CEO and like sell her some shit.
Mm.
Oh my fucking god.
Think she sounds lame, actually.
Apparently, I think she quite literally targeted. Yeah, it's unsettling sight will swoop in on a business, destroy anyone standing in her way, and gut the company for maximum profit. I don't like this character.
Wait, she did what?
Quote, this is in her backstory. Swoop in on business, destroy anyone standing in her way, gut the company for maximum profit.
Wow, that's so lame.
Apparently, she also would literally kill the CEOs. That's who she hunted, basically.
Wait, so she didn't hunt regular people. She hunted people like her.
Yeah, she hunted other CEOs.
Why the hell is she called the Skull Merchant then? Because I
I
get it,
don't
like, oh,
know.
merchant.
That's I know why. That's the name of her dad's character from her manga.
Oh.
She's also a weeb. Remember,
A what now?
a weeb.
What do you mean she's a weeb?
She's literally wearing a costume based off of her dad's manga character. She's a serial killer billionaire weeaboo, and that's the funniest fucking shit to me.
Wait, hang on. So I went to the page again. She was freaking abandoned dog.
Was she?
Yeah, it says when her father abandoned her, he left his opus behind, an unpublished manga about the Skull Merchant.
Oh my god.
In his absence, she buried herself in work and ascended the corporate ladder. She found fortune by purchasing low-valued companies, cutting costs and selling at a profit. She began to see herself in the Skull Merchant. Oh no!
She's a weeb.
He's a weeb.
That's
No,
what
not
she
even
is.
that. She's like, I can't drop names for the sake of privacy, but you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Even more handsome, I'm entirely sure.
Um, middle school, high school. Your best friend?
Oh, that fucker.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of that guy.
Oh god. I that's I th- That sucks because the Skull Merchant actually I rather like how she plays, which is funny because she's getting nerfed to hell
Yeah.
in the new
He's
update.
literally a copy pasta, think about it.
But sh I kinda like how she plays. I think her character is kind of interesting, but I do not like her backstory.
Mm, ew. Kinda cringe if you ask me.
Oh god.
And
But
because
that's my 2 cents on the Skull Merchant.
yeah. I just remember, not it, last year, not last, no, it was last year. When we went to Spookalla, somebody that was in the costume contest, and I remember because you had to leave early to go to work, so you missed this. But when Jarek and Luna went into the costume contest, there was a person there that was dressed as the trickster, and as they went on stage, somebody in the crowd said, "Ew, cringe." Because it was funny, because like the person that went before, the two people before that guy that dressed as the lady that went as the trickster, she went as the huntress.
Yeah, the
So
Huntress is
they
cool.
had
I
the
like her.
huntress, some dude, and then the trickster.
I'm so glad someone yelled, you cringe."
Ew, cringe. Like, and it wasn't just ew, cringe. It was like, ew, cringe. That's how he did it. It was so funny.
Oh god.
I probably spiked my mic there. I'm so sorry, audience.
Cringe.
But, damn.
Some
You
other
wanna know?
oh,
You wanna know who isn't? You wanna know who isn't cringe though?
who's that?
Probably my favorite character, the Oni.
The Oni. That's actually kind of funny. I was about to talk about the Oni too.
No fucking
You
way.
know what's interesting about Oni? I want you
Hmm.
to take a guess at what his last name is.
I can either do this really, really funny, or I could do this actually serious.
Take a serious guess.
Well, he looks like he's Japanese,
Hmm?
so I don't know the exact like word for it, but I'm gonna assume that it has something to do with wrath.
His full name is Kazan Yamaoka. This is the spirit's
No!
great great grandfather.
No!
Hmm. This
Dog!
this is the spirit's great great grandfather.
How do you know that? Oh, I was
It's
about to
confirmed,
say
of
the
course.
dad. I was about to say dude. That's still
Great.
really cool though.
Yeah, he was back in the days of like samurai and stuff. He was this big giant noble, but he was so wrathful and so dangerous that they began calling him Oni Yamaoka as a insult. He got so pissed off at the people insulting him that he absolutely he started just absolutely like butchering people that kept calling him an Oni, literally ripping out their tongues for insulting him.
What is an oni?
It's a it's it's kind of it basically means ogre.
Oh, so it's kind of like a slur, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically calling him a demon. Oh fuck! He accidentally killed his father.
Accidentally, or he did.
He made it to the town that of the lord that insulted him, and he found himself face to face with a samurai that was blocking his way. Kazan crushed his attacked the samurai. After a brief battle, he crushed the samurai's head with a kanobo, which is that
Mhm.
giant club on his back.
Mhm.
And the helmet fell off the samurai, and he saw his father's face.
Oh, oops. That
Yeah.
blows.
So he accidentally killed his father, and in just a giant fit of rage and disillusionedness, went into a completely uncontrollable rage and absolutely decimated the entire town.
Oh well, that's nice. Very lovely. Good for him.
He got so reviled by all that as he exited the villa, all the farmers surrounded him, and there were so many of them. It was the only fight he couldn't win. Got tackled by all the farmers, and they all took turns stabbing him and dragged him into a stone mill and eventually left him to die into a slow, agonizing death.
That definitely does not sound like a pleasant way to go
And now he's here
with the entity.
with his big fuck off Kanobo.
He looks so cool. I love his design.
I love Oni. He's very cool. It's also really cool getting to play as a family member of the spirit.
Yeah, that's really cool. How does it say specifically in the backstory or?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Interestingly enough, the spirit's rage is said to be a family, passed by family.
Mmm.
It's a trait shared down that even some descriptions of some of her cosmetics, it talks about her becoming her issues with controlling her rage, at her ancestral rage at times.
Interesting.
Like there's a specific one, where is it? Awakened Origin, I believe, where she's basically literally wearing the same clothes as the Oni.
That's really cool.
And oh yeah, this is something I want to talk about. So remember the Blight from earlier?
Yes.
His serum is what made him all fucked up. But did you
Mhm.
know that the Blight still has a bit of humanity left in him?
Oh, how so?
That humanity loves experimenting.
Oh no.
Basically, almost every one of the killers has a blighted skin, which is that basically means that the Blight there managed to slam a vial of his serum into them and make them like him, basically, all drippy and fucked up by the entity.
Dwippy.
Yeah.
Mhm. I see you're the little blue dupe. What did you do? Watch
Yeah.
stream. Oh, he
That's a
is
good example of it.
Dwippy.
Yep. There's the vial sticking out of his back right there. You guys can't see it, but each all of these, one of the things granted by the blight here is incredible speed when he's afflicted by his serum there. So basically, what I've always thought of is that I'm pretty sure he's basically sticking himself with the serum, running past the killer at top speed, and then slamming the syringe in them in like a fucked up drive-by.
Oh.
Some of them submitted willingly, like the doctor, of course. Why wouldn't he? Of course, he wants to be experimented on.
Mm-hmm.
This is his blade. This is his blade skill. He looks fucking amazing. He has his
That's
mouth is
cool.
all agape. His intestines are coming out of him. He's very cool. What is this one?
He's all Dwippy.
Yeah, he looks amazing. The wraith is also extremely amazing. There's a hole through his chest in that scan. Let's see. The hillbilly looks even more fucked up than he usually does. Oh yeah, the hillbilly. I meant to talk about him. So
Mhm.
he had also a very tragic backstory here, which always
Who
made me
doesn't
kind of
have a
laugh.
tragic backstory?
Almost no one. The hillbilly was the son of the wealthy landowners back in like the 1920s of Max and Evelyn Thompson, and they bore this poor child that was so hideously disfigured and absolutely messed up that they literally bricked him into a wall. Then they fed him through a hole in the wall.
Dang.
And one day he got so ungodly pissed, and because he'd grown quite strong, and so he became this big hulking figure, and eventually he ripped his way back through the wall, killed his entire family with a chainsaw.
Wow.
After he did that, he continued to take out his anger on the rest of the farm and the animals, just basically running through the fields and slaughtering everything around him. The lore here, this is one of my favorite bits of the lore. They never found the bodies of Max and Evelyn, but they did find the tortured and disemboweled animals all over the farm. The Coldwind farm was quickly settled and land split up and sold off. There was never a buyer for the farmhouse, because perhaps because you have the sound of the chainsaw you could hear through those hot summer nights.
Um.
But yeah,
Also, yeah. Also, really interesting. You guys can't hear it. If there's any way I can try to maybe do something fancy with the visuals later, I'll figure it out. But in case you can't, in the back thing where James is showing me all the footage, the song it sounds like a chainsaw if you really
yeah,
listen to.
it's basically a bunch of sliding notes on a guitar that are almost a bit sloppy to kind of it makes it sound a lot like you're pulling a start pulling start pull st- fuck pull
We'll
starting a
start.
chainsaw. There you
Yeah,
go.
start pulling a chainsaw.
Let me just throw on his original look there real quick.
Wait, excuse me, is that the milkman?
Yeah, I have a milkman skin for him.
He is the milkman. He brings the milk.
The Hillbilly is my favorite of the originals. I like chainsaws. That's no secret. Chainsaws are my favorite murder instrument in horror movies.
Dear, I remember last year you got so sad and salty at Halloween Horror Nights last year because you couldn't find a single chainsaw person.
I know. I want to see the chainsaw
You
guys.
are so sad.
I, I like managing to get them to hold it above their head and do the Leatherface thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of above, I'm just gonna pull him real quick. Oh, and I
Oh,
accidentally clicked on the Demogorgon.
the Demogorgon.
The Demogorgon in the Stranger Things chapter is a very interesting uh section in Dead by Daylight's history because you cannot get these characters anymore. You can't get Steve or Nancy. You can't get the Demogorgon anymore
Yeah, why not?
because Netflix. Oh, Netflix. They took away the license from Dead by Daylight.
Dang.
You know why? Because they wanted to make a mobile game.
Bruh. Let me guess this shit.
I haven't even seen it. I've heard no one talk about it.
I guess they don't want to play it because it's shit.
It's so stupid. They backed out of Fortnite even.
Nah. Dog. I
That'd be insane to back out of Fortnite. That's like having free money.
was like, Fortnite, it's like free money. Come on, bro.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
I do want to talk about somebody really interesting that we haven't touched on yet, which I also really like. The Dredge.
I was about to talk about Dredge too.
No way!
We're perfectly lined up right now with all this.
Oh my god.
Just gonna put on his original cosmetics there. The
Anyway,
Dredge has
so
a
Dredge,
oh,
yes. Tell me
Dredge
about the
has a
Dredge.
very interesting backstory because he is not human. He's not an entity. He's not a monster. Honestly, some people could basically just consider him the entity's little brother.
Hmm.
You can even see some spider-like tendrils coming out of him. The dredge here is literally a manifestation of hateful thoughts.
Oh.
He's an amalgamation of all the hatred and hateful thoughts from a cult. Actually, let's take a look through here. There is a cult there. They're all peace loving. There a man named Otto Stamper ran the thing. He was the cult leader. There he had this whole utopian dream, but members began to start disappearing and trying to leave. So he basically forced them all to constantly think happy thoughts. He kept trying to quell his followers' thoughts. This might sound familiar to you, honey, because you've been playing Cult of the Lamb nonstop recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Otto here was having the same issues we were having in Cult of the Lamb, where we just could not get people to stop dissenting. So he literally banned any sort of dark talk. He called it.
Mm.
No one's allowed to talk about it. Everyone always has to be happy. And I guess what was it? Oh yeah, this a journalist came to try and interview them, and the journalist kept saying all these things, which Otto kept calling lies, until he literally just pulled out a knife and slit her throat.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess that if that works, you know?
Yep, she died right there. But here it says right there, Otto's words shot over the congregation and reached the murky recesses of their hearts, and dredged up dark and fearful things. Years of suppressed emotions began to bubble up as a thick fog pushed through the relentless legs and feet. Whispers began. The whispers became panicked mantras, and the mantras became screams and curses, as each member accused the next of malthinking or malspeaking. And over all of that, uh, the dam of them that was keeping them all blissful finally burst, and they erupted into extreme violence. They beat each other and tore each other to bits. And it says when it was all over, Otto felt the creaking and wooden stage shake as a murder of crows circled above, and the ground rose and sank into a thick black oozing mud like molasses. Moments later, a formless mass squelched out of the mud and rose like a rearing horse to feed upon the writhing mass of butchered humanity. It was everywhere and nowhere at once. It slowly picked its way through the carnage, absorbing the darkness, savoring the misery, trailing terrible noises, shrieks, cries, whimpers, pops, cracks, feasting sounds, death sounds, dark sounds. Otto watched the creature as it slowly began to manifest into the very thing he imagined, the very thing he had made them all imagined. And it turned slowly to look at Otto for a long, silent moment, and trudged away through the thick black sludge, disappearing straight back into the shadows from which it came. That formless mass that took all those corpses and amalgamated them into himself is the dredge.
So he's the ooze guy.
Yeah, all those bits and like disgusting like flesh bits you're seeing are literally the entire colony.
Bro.
It's their broken, fucked up bodies smushed and mashed into this little mass.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. The dredge can teleport. Actually, his actual powers involve him being able to teleport between lockers on the map. Like he can teleport around, being everywhere and nowhere at once.
Mhm.
But he can also do a little teleporty thing that's based around loops. But the more he injures people, he builds a thing called Nightfall, which leads to the entire map going completely dark, not being able to hear his terror radius anymore. No, my fucking monitor again.
Oh no. All right, everybody. We apologize. James is on again. We'll come back as soon as he's back.
And we're back. Oh my god, my computer fucking hates me. Anyway,
Congratulations.
it did the same thing again for if you guys are wondering.
But yeah.
Literally the same thing. It didn't like me having the game open and then just idling. Anyway, back to what I
Hmm.
was saying about Dredge. I find him really fucking interesting. He's not even really doesn't have a corporeal body. The body that you see is just a bunch of bits and pieces of people that he's gathered.
People bits.
Yeah. But yeah, his that power that I was talking about, Nightfall, after he's injured people, he forces the entire map into pitch darkness, removes his terror radius, so you can't tell if he's coming other than his like shifty noise that his like flesh makes against each other. He is terrifying.
He does. I love his design too. It's like very creepy.
I really like Dredge.
Yeah.
He's probably one of my favorite original killer designs or characters in the entire game.
Yeah. But there's a lot of killers and there's a lot of killers in this game. What's your favorite? Which one would you say is your favorite?
My favorite currently,
And you can be
uh,
biased.
Deathslinger.
Any reason just because cowboy?
Yeah, Deathslinger is my favorite. I'm a giant Western fan. I wore cowboy boots for a very, very long time. I'm planning on getting new ones to celebrate something. I uh I like Deathslinger a lot. His laugh is amazing when he successfully shoots gets a survivor. He goes like yeah. It's awesome.
I love that. Like I said, probably mine's probably the plague. She's gorgeous.
I love the plague. Plague's awesome.
I also like the spirit too, and I do like the Oni and the Huntress and the artist. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
plague's probably my number one.
I'd say it's probably gonna be Deathslinger, Huntress, and then Dredge.
Yeah, and
I
that's not even all the originals either. There's so
yeah,
many.
I think one of the reasons I also really like Deathslinger is because he has quite long hair, and I'm a long-haired man as well. It's very rare to see long-haired guys in media, especially Western media.
Fair enough.
I like him.
But yeah, there's so many people. We might have to actually legitimately split this into a two-parter.
Maybe, maybe. We barely even touched on survivors, but they're not very interesting. They don't have very fun backstories usually,
Except Nicolas Cage.
except Nick Cage. Holy shit!
Anything you wanna add, James? I mean, this is technically your episode, so this is your baby. Go for it.
If anyone hasn't tried out Dead by Daylight and they quite like playing online games, multiplayer games, please try it out. Love to see you guys out there. I really like playing this game. I have devoted. It's the only game in my library that I've hit 1,000 hours on. I like it
No
a
way.
lot.
Oh my god.
I've gotten close with Elite Dangerous. I got like 800 hours on there, but
Bruh. What ham? Hours. 41 days, James.
wait, how many is 1,000 hours?
41 days.
Holy shit!
Over 41 days.
Oh my god!
Over a month.
Over a month of fucking playtime. Holy shit!
Nice. But yeah, and anything else, James?
I think that about wraps it up for me right there.
All right. Well, we'll probably go ahead and split this maybe into two, depending on what happens. Well, we'll definitely split into two. There's a lot of stuff, and we haven't. Unfortunately, this is just a little bit too much for one. I'm surprised this outbeat Horror Nights, but we're not gonna talk about that.
I don't even have a
So
script here. I've just been doing this off my head.
yeah. So congratulations. I needed like notes and stuff, so you're ahead of me here.
Eh,
But
well,
yeah, thank you guys for tuning in again. We'll probably go ahead and do a second part for Dead by Daylight, brought to you by Mr. Longhair Cowboy over. Also, Alien episode will be out very, very soon. So please stay out on the lookout for that one. Alien is now one of my favorite horror movies. Not my favorite movie. Is I've been just sucked in, so I'm excited.
I'm very happy about that because that is my favorite horror movie, the first Alien.
So good, so good. You know what, James? I'm gonna let you close out this one since this one was your episode.
May as well. All right, friends. It's been a pleasure talking. Of course, hope you guys all had a good night there, good morning, whatever time of day it is where you are. And, of course, stay spooky.
Stay spooky.